adjusting levels out here.
Hello.
Nothing yet?
Yeah, please call me loudly, please, Davey.
Can we get the TMO over his mic for just a couple minutes as we adjust his level and talking to him?
Gotta get those guys to talk to Rugby, sorry.
No worries. They're trying to get their attention. So if you keep talking and he keeps talking, hopefully eventually somebody will talk.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, Davey. Thank you. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Good? The
Yep.
level's good?
What is that? It's cut. Yeah. Yeah. Copy that. Yep. Yeah. Time up. Yeah. Yeah. Dave, can you please call me again? Yeah. Clear. Yeah.
Good?
Much better. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, clearly now. Yep. Thank you, David.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. Thank you.
You hear David?
Yeah, I can hear David now. You can.
No.
Oh, but David, I can hear you, but body and the card can't hear you. So can you fix it, please? Yep.
no, Paul's gonna call it. Okay. What I'll do is I'm at this nurse door, I'll pop up.
We move a province over on the summer caravan for Team Canada to a sold-out Calgary Rugby Park as Canada continues their Showcase Summer Series to rise as one. It was an encouraging but all too familiar result for Canada against Japan. One quick step and Japan with some ground they were in. A furious late rally fell just short, but a 4-try afternoon made the Vancouver crowd rise as one. Cudmore is in! Captain Cudmore. The scene shifts from BC to neighboring Alberta as Canada hosts Russia in Calgary. The 2016 Summer Series continues next. Welcome to Calgary, everybody, for Game 2 of this Summer Series for Team Canada. For only the 4th time in their history, taking on Russia, only the 2nd time on Canadian soil. Blake Price with you, everyone. Welcome again to a fabulous sold-out Calgary Rugby Park. Canada set to take on Russia, again going for a perfect 4-0 all-time series against the Russians, and part of the Summer Series game number 2. Italy still to come. Tickets still available for that BMO Park date, incidentally, a week from now, with a noon Eastern start time, and a chance for Canada, as we bring in TSN rugby analyst Brian Smanton, a chance for Canada, Brian, to put together a more complete effort. A fabulous showing versus Japan, but they come up just short. And while this isn't an elimination game, they'd like to win this one, I'm sure.
There's a lot of pressure on Canada to win this game. They are the favorites. They're playing at home. They're playing a team rated below them in the world standings. And they have Italy next week. They know that's going to be a tough test. They have to win this one today.
Fabulous game by Justice Sears-Duro. Another one just like that this week, and you think Canada would be in good stead.
Not only the scrummage, I was really impressed with his athleticism around the park. We did have questions about the Canadian set piece, the Canadian lineouts. They did win plenty of ball. The Canadian backs hope to run roughshod on the Russians today.
He was the man of the match. A couple of notes for today. There is one lineup change. Mozak Sampson comes in for Ben Stoller. Again, Canada 3-0 all-time versus Russia, and they'll do so with 3 Calgarians on the roster, including inside center Nick Blevins.
It's unbelievable playing in front of friends and family. It's going to give you that extra boost that you need to get through those last 20 minutes of each half, and it's just a real pleasure. Yeah.
So for Canada to overcome the Russians, who are just one spot behind them in the world rankings, what do you see them needing to do?
They have to continue with the good set piece, the good lineout. They have to have a good platform for the back line, and we have to be very succinct here. The kicking has to be better. It really let them down last week. For the Russians, they have to show discipline. If things start to go to the Canadians' way, the Canadians will punish them. And I think the Russians want to play an enterprising game. I don't know if they're up to it.
Large group of Russians. We saw them trot out for warm-up as well, looking to play a physical game. Last week, it was the Canadians hunting down the higher-ranked Japanese, but this time they might be the hunted. One spot ahead of the Russians in the world. Kickoff is next.
Number 13, Mozak Sampson. Number 14, Dan Moore. And number 15, Matt Evans.
Atmosphere starting to build here at Calgary Rugby Park as for the first time in over a decade. Canada's men's team playing an international test match here against Russia, second game of this summer series, and it is a Russian team as we turn to the lineups for today, brought to you by DHL, a Russian team led by the captain Vasily Artemyev, the fullback, and a most decorated group as well, with Viktor Greshev of Russia being the most capped Russian rugby player of all time with 79 as he lines up in today's Russian lineup as well.
And the Russian Bears, they all play domestically, most of them in Moscow. They know each other very well. They're a big side. Up front, I like Antonov in the second row, very athletic. He's a big man. Temnov in the back row. They're going to be very tough, but I think they're going to be very predictable. They're going to take it right to Canada, and Canada has to withstand that, and I think Canada's going to want to spread the ball. We will see subs coming in. Alexei Volkov, the big prop, will get minutes, but this Russian side will give Canada some difficulty. I think the first 10 or 15 minutes, it's important for Canada to take it to them.
As we mentioned, a statuesque group of Russians as well. We'll see what the ground game is like for them and how they try to dominate the Canadians at the breakdown. It's something that worked well last week as well for Canada as they stood up against a Japanese group that we thought would win that battle.
Well, Lucas Rumble, even though he's a youngster at 21, 22 years of age, he is so good at the breakdown with his body size. It will be a real test for him today. Only one lineup change for the Canadians. We talked off the top. Calgary Sampson's coming in the centers. This is an experienced group. I would like to see the backs get a little more ball. Danny Moore, Taylor Paris, Matt Evans. I think if Canada can set it up, they're going to have a go at the Russians, especially that dynamic back three.
Some changes to the reserves with Liam Underwood coming into the fold here, and he's available for today if they wanted to take a look at him as he makes his first return since the World Cup.
Yeah, he's been battling some injury problems. Didn't go to Monaco. I think he'll get to stretch his legs in the second half. He'll be delighted to do that.
Weather has been in and out here all day long at Calgary. Right now, though, a nice temperature, and we'll see what the day brings as we get set for the two national anthems at Calgary.
Now join us with Natasha Cole for the singing of the Canadian anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all our sons' command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
And the crowd is amped up here again. 2005, the last time an international test match was here in Calgary, and you can tell that the fans are here. The culture of rugby is here in Alberta. It's strong.
Well, we're going from BC Place to the Calgary Rugby Park and then on to BMO Field. And this is more of a grassroots atmosphere. All the Canadian players were raised in a rugby atmosphere like this, and they're all, not just the Alberta boys, are very delighted to be here. The fans are right on top of them. There's over 5,000 people here. It's a festive attitude, and it's going to be a great afternoon of rugby. We should also mention the conditions. Swirling wind, that may play havoc with the kickers. But the temperature, comfortable, and I really think the Canadian boys want to put on a good showing for these fans.
It is the home of the Prairie Wolfpack in the Canadian Rugby Championship Series, and 4 members of Team Canada dressed today have played for the Wolfpack at one time or another, so there is a bit of a home field advantage for those players, including Nick Blevins, who we spoke to off the top as well. Gordon McCrory's had a look here as well, so that's going to help, as you mentioned, the kickers in that case, the Canadian kicker as well. The referee today is Shuhei Kubo from Japan, and you'll hear his voice throughout the course of the broadcast. He'll be backed up incidentally by the assistant referee there, Federico Anselmi, who was the head ref last week at BC Place Stadium against Japan. And we are all set for kickoff here in Calgary. Canada to Russia as we are underway here in Game 2 of this summer series. Not a clean grab off the hop there for Russia, but straight into the breakdown. And we'll see if Canada's as successful this week as they were last.
Blitz him. In front.
No, that's fine.
A quick clearing kick by Russia. Not to touch, though. Picked up there by Evans. To Carpenter. Straight up the middle. Into the rucker goes McCrory, gets things started to Evans, swings it out wide. And Canada with some ground. There's McCrory, runs into a wall though, just inside the 22 of Russia. Fabulous run by McCrory though.
Stay!
And it took a while for Canada to get some significant runs under their belt last week versus Japan. Already one notable surge here versus Russia. Again, we'll see how Canada does in the breakdowns, but unable to push past this 22 spot. Finally flipped out wide to Blevins. Onto the side for Evans, and now down just inside that 5-meter line. Canada's got it up against the touchline. Taylor Paris with the significant run down the far line. And now grinding away again, Sears Duru rumbles, and he was so successful at that last week. Rumble himself. Lucas Rumble just inside the 5-meter line. Paris to Blevins. Canada can smell the try line now. McCrory gets things started out of the ruck. McCrory. And Cudmore had trouble with the pass, and first turnover there by Canada.
And the referee was playing advantage. The Russian backs were up very, very tight, but the Canadian backs have stretched their legs. Taylor Paris, great run on the left wing. He pops it inside to the halfback, Gordon McCrory. He faked a pass back outside, took a big hit, but they recycled the ball. The Canadians are in a nice rhythm. Very makeable penalty to start things here, but they're going to make a decision, may go to touch if Pat Parfrey's got the ball, and opt for the line out. It's been all Canada in the first few minutes here, Blake.
Yep.
Very good start. Again, for those that are joining us just now, Canada 18th ranked in the world, Russia 19th. They would be hoping to prevail here and have a little momentum getting into that final match of the Summer Series versus Italy.
And no pun intended, but you don't want to wake a sleeping bear. If they can get at Russia early, pound away, put some points on the board, I think this Russian team could fold up. The longer they hang in the game, they'll get a little bit of confidence. The weather could be a factor with the wind. They may hang around. If Canada can pop one over early, get right back on them, they'll be in good form.
And off the line on a turnover to Russia, clearing out of the try area. Downfield, stays inbound zone. Evans is back to retrieve for Canada. Thought about an attacking kick instead. Deals it left to Paris. He's tied up.
Step up.
Just before the 10, and Canada now switches things up. Sampson has got it. He's got some room. Kozak Sampson fakes the down to McCrory. McCrory in for the try. Canada is on the board first in Calgary. And two guys that know this field well combined to make it happen.
And the fans are loving it. What a great play. Sampson didn't dish it initially. He drew in the final defender, hit McCrory on the fly, and McCrory's going to be kicking the points. He puts it right between the posts. Great start for Canada. This will be a real test for Russia the next few minutes. McCrory took that big hit in the Japanese game. There may have been a question about his fitness, but he's as tough as they come for a small man, and he's just delighted with that. He's got to catch his breath and kick the extras.
Talk about durable, you're right. Took that crushing blow versus Japan. Took the crushing blow early in this one on the run we showed you from Taylor Paris, but he gets back up, and on the next possession is able to punch it in for the try. He'll look to convert here to give Canada the 7-0 lead. Quick and easy, just like that. And under 5 minutes in, Canada's off to a 7-0 lead without a lot of resistance by the Russians, who I'm sure will try to learn on the fly here and get better as this game goes on, but that's just what Canada needed.
The great thing about this try is Sampson draws in the defender. The last defender right there, pops it up. McCrory's off to the races untouched. Between the wickets, easy convert. Perfect start for the Canadians.
Ben Soller having to come out due to injury after his appearance in the Japanese game, and the substitution looks like to be a good decision for Mark Anscombe. Putting in Mozak Sampson here on his home field.
Use the right, on the right net. On the right
Kick to touch for Canada. As we get set for the line out for Russia.
Numbers, 1 off, 1 off.
Kasanov will throw it in. To the back.
Yeah.
And Russia gets started their first time running with the ball. Rudoy digs it loose, dishes right to the strong side.
No hands.
Held up by Canada, loose ball.
Get up, get up.
Quick dish out to Gabrusov. Carries again, only as far as that 10-meter line.
Yeah.
Canada pushes back. Barkwell digs it loose and kicks it back. Veteran play by Barkwell to dig the ball loose for Canada. And now Dan Moore showing his speed. Dishes left, and again the Russian wall is there, but Canada maintains possession. McCrory digs it loose. Loose ball gathered up by Russia. Canada turns it over on a loose pass. Kicked ahead. And out to touch for Canada.
The referee was playing advantage. The ball's going to come back. It went out in the full. One thing you can see in the early moments, Russia are not as sophisticated as Japan. They don't seem as organized, but they're certainly very game. They play a looser game, but they're going to be very physical. They're not as polished as their neighbors in Georgia. Their scrummage will be decent. But I think what Canada have to do is match that, draw the forwards in, and then ship it wide. And as we talked off the top, get Danny Moore, Taylor Paris, and Matt Evans involved in the game.
Parfrey to Blevins. McCrory digs it loose again. They try the near sideline. Moore sees nothing but white shirts taken down. Clean out for McCrory to Parfrey. Cutmore. Canada doing well at the breakdown to get the ball loose, and now Carpenter on the far line. Dished it to his left, and Canada taken down again halfway to the 22. Sears Duru to Rumble.
Advantage.
Not much room for him.
No road again. Advantage.
Blevins to Sampson.
White.
Kicked ahead and just a touch.
12 broad.
And Canada will get another line of opportunity on advantage.
And the Russia players were not rolling away from the breakdown. The referee played a very sound advantage. He played it long enough. Canadians will have a decision. This is a makeable penalty. They have to decide if they want to kick it into the corner and go from the line out. Good things by Canada. Ray Barkwell, as you mentioned, a veteran move to nick that ball in the ruck just when Russia thought they had a little bit of momentum. But Canada doing a lot of positive things.
Now, if my lick the finger test proves correct, I think we're into the wind at this point for the kicks for Canada. But a nice accurate one into the corner. And Canada will be hunting down a try again here on this lineup. And once again, Canada on the attack with this early 7-0 lead. Not quite 9 minutes old. Off the lineup.
Maul!
Into the maul.
Outside the white.
Driving for territory is Canada. And Barkwell comes away with the dishes left, and they're in. Taylor Paris.
White.
Well executed off the line out for Canada. Second try of the game, not even 10 minutes old. It's 12-0 for Canada.
And off the line out, the driving maul at the back of the line out, all started by Jamie Cudmore. Barkwell's in good position. The ball will come back toward the sideline. Ray Barkwell's been involved, and that's as easy a try as Taylor Paris is going to get in his career.
The conversion will be of the more difficult variety. Now, judging by the quick start here for Canada, I don't know that we need to sort of caution against those missed kicks like we did perhaps against the 10th ranked team of the world of Japan. Nevertheless, good practice in tough conditions here.
We don't have to caution against the kicking, but what the Canadians have to do, Blake, is really try and put the sword to the Russians here. Do not let them in the game. It's still the first quarter of the game, but get right back and try for another one. Don't let them get a deep ball and get into a rhythm and play in the Canadian end. They have to be ruthless. They have to be clinical. And this is the type of game, if they push another one over, things may really open up and they really may spread them wide. The Russians wanted to hang around. They wanted to play tight rugby. It's not happening so far.
Well, let's face it, the unfortunate recent history of the Canadian men's team too is that a 12-point lead isn't necessarily safe. So the kick is up and into this strong wind is pushed wide. Didn't have enough accuracy nor distance. The lead remains at 12 points for Canada. We creep up on the 10-11 minute mark here in Calgary.
Can't say enough about Barry's Taylor Paris. He very, very unfortunately tore his ACL last August just before the World Cup. He's rehabbed it very hard. He's back in business in France playing for Agen. He worked so hard to go to the World Cup. It really was heartbreaking. Great to see him last weekend in Vancouver, and today in Calgary start with a try.
And off the kick, straight out to touch for Russia.
What do you want? What do you want, Canada?
And on.
What do you want? Scrum call.
The decision here for Canada is to head to the middle of the field for a scrum, take possession that way.
Canada has a choice on a direct kick out of bounds, and I think Gordon McCurry had a play on there, and he was thinking maybe about a line out, but eventually you do have to tell the referee what you're doing. Canada has opted for the scrum. If Russia are going to compete in this match today, they have to compete in the scrummage. This can be very interesting.
We saw the KG Ray Barkle early get possession for Canada. We'll start the scrum here at center.
Bind! Sit! And now! Stay, stay.
Quite a battle at center. You hear the battle down low. Evans dishes left for Paris. Onto the far side now, and some room again for Canada. Paris gets it back, and Evans has a clear path. He's in for the try. Canada on the board again, third try in 12 and a half minutes. It's 17-0.
Rack this one up for Sports Center for a highlight. This is unbelievable. Paris again. Sampson's on the wing, pops it back inside to Paris, to Evans, and just like the Rugby World Cup, he gets those legs up, you're not going to tackle him.
Accurate passing on the far line for Canada, gets them in for the third try already. And Canada couldn't have asked for anything better than this. Now, keep in mind, too, this is into the wind. I mean, once the team starts running with the wind, you think the kicking game would only improve, and the passing game perhaps as well.
Well, it's an awkward position as McCrory lines up the kick. You know, Jamie Cudmore's got to talk to the players and keep them focused. There's a lot of rugby left. We're only 13, 14 minutes in, and everything is going Canada's way. But they have to stick with the plan. They can't deviate from that. Driving this Russian team, they have to get the forwards to come in to move them before they spin it wide. They just don't want to start playing first phase rugby against them. They have to stick to their plan.
And despite the wind, an easy kick though for McCrory as Canada extends the lead to 19. And once again, what a play right from the scrum there at center for Canada.
Yeah, we talked about Matt Evans a lot last week, and he was so dynamic in the Rugby World Cup, hitting the line from fullback, Sampson back into Taylor Paris, and Matt Evans, so big, so strong, just pushes off the last tackler. Wonderful stuff by the Canadian backline.
A lot of play in the middle last week versus Penn. We didn't see much of Moore and Evans, and at that point Stoller, but we're starting to see those players play a much bigger role this week with some room on the wings. Russia with possession off their own kick. Canada with a quick clear just beyond the center line. Nearly a turnover there as Barkle got his mid on it. Quick step there, nice move by Greshev.
Touch first.
Greshev with the first promising run of Russia's day down this near sideline. But Canada will possess on the lineup. Barkwell gets his men set. And you do wonder if Canada has another promising possession, what this might mean to this Russian squad if they
No straight.
can gather their wits.
No
With the
straight.
first half not even halfway old.
Scrum cool.
Regardless of the score, though, that's a mistake Canada made right there. It's their lineout. They've got to win that ball. The ball wasn't straight. They give up possession. It's a Russian scrummage. The little things add up, and Canada has to be very meticulous about set pieces, about dictating the game. And that's not going to show on the scoreboard, but there's a ball they should have won, and they've given it back to the Russians.
Lineout's near perfect last week versus Japan. It was one of the positives
Bind.
to last week's loss.
Sit. No.
The scrum collapses there. The referee separates them in, and we'll start again.
Like when it shows sign, yeah, this way.
That scrum never really had a chance. It was low from the start.
One of the big things is safety. They want the scrum up, shoulders above hips. They don't want it dipping down. The Japanese scrum plays about 12 to 16 inches off the ground. It seems that Canada scrummaged very well against them.
Sit.
Placed in by Sherban. He waits for it on the return. Chips it ahead. Past the try line. Gathered by Moore, who grounds the ball for the safe play. Canada forced to choose quickly, and not quick enough for the referees liking, it appears.
Behind.
Canada kicks it to the 10-meter line on the Russian side, where they get things started. Swinging it to the strong side. Strong run by Russia. Rudenko bowling over his man. Sherban digs it loose. Tucking his head in his Zikov. Not a cleanly handled pass, but not knocked on. Stayed behind him. Russia continues with possession on the breakdown. And a strong tackle by Sears Duru to take down Gasanov. And Canada possesses Sears Duru with the ball now, trudging downfield.
Stay.
Swung out the far side. There's Paris again, kicks it ahead. Can he run onto it? He and McCrory are there. Loose ball, but touched by Russia first and grounded past the try line.
You mentioned Sears Duru. The big man, Jamie Cudmore's having a good game as well, and you can't say enough about him, even at 37 years of age. Big stick by Sears Duru there, but Jamie Cudmore likes to get involved. He's so hard to tackle, and Sears Duru's just picking up where he left off last weekend in British Columbia.
Scrum just beyond the try line for Russia as they try to defend against another Canadian try. Placed in by Gordon McCrory.
Crouch. Bind. Sit.
And again, it collapses.
You notice the referees come over to the other side to keep an eye on the Canadian tight head, Jake Ilnicki, and the Russian loose head, just to make sure everything is square and the boys aren't dumping it.
And what a change from some of the best scrums in the world of Japan last week at BC Place Stadium to a bit more of a tough mix here.
Bind. Sit.
Placed in by McCrory. And a great driving ball by Canada nearly gets them in. Quick move out, and again they push forward. Rumble had it, but couldn't get as far as the line.
No pushing straight one.
So he's called the Russian loosehead for boring in, not pushing straight. He came over on this side of the scrum to look for that. The Canadians are calling for another scrum rather than a penalty.
Push straight.
Well, driving ball had a chance there for a moment.
Come on, D. Let's go.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Perhaps looking to create another here. 19-0. Canada leads, looking for more here.
Bind! Sit!
McCrory puts it into play.
No.
And again, referee Shuhei Kubo with another infraction on the scrum.
And as usual, Brantford's Aaron Carpenter pretty keen at the back of the scrum to pick that ball up. Today is his 73rd test match, and the Canadian record, of course, Big Al Sharon at 76. But Aaron has that in his bomb sights, and he just continues to go and go and go. He's been a great servant of Canadian rugby for many years now.
Crouch!
I'm losing track 4 or 5 down here near the Russian line.
Sit!
Low scrum does stay upright for the time being at the very least. And now Canada drives, gets the ball out, blind pass to Parfrey.
Give me time. No, give me time.
And
Time off. Captain one.
referee blows play down once more.
It's the second time against white one not pushing straight here. So yeah, you need to fix it. Yeah, it's okay.
And a warning there from the referee without the yellow card coming up, but that could be in the not too distant future. As Batiev is fingered again for the infraction. So the Russian scrum's looking a little messy early on here in this contest, and it's costing them valuable time on the clock at the very least as they try to battle back into this contest, down 19 points already.
Wide! Sit! Yes, wide.
Ball is there. Carpenter gets things started. Bears with a chance. Levins looks to help him out. Carpenter again. Dishes to Cudmore. Bailey had a chance at it. Now swinging far side, or near side, pardon me. Parfrey to Paris. Nearly found a hole.
David White! Stay. Push back!
Sampson driving forward.
Stay.
Carpenter looks for the ball.
No hands, White.
Driving left off of the ruck. Trying to create some rooms. Here's Duru sniffing down the ball. He was great in tight last week. Met Evans, swings it. Loose ball, and Parfrey's on it. In for the touch. Canada's on the board with 5 more. Bit of a broken play, but Canada found a way to make it work.
It wasn't the way they scripted it, but that's what pressure will do. The Russians have been under pressure for 4 or 5 minutes based on the scrummages, based on the Canadian attack, driving over the set pieces, and it was just a matter of time. Evans tries to miss Parfrey out, I think, or miss out Sampson, and it went to Parfrey. And if Taylor Paris's try looked easy, Pat Parfrey's try might have been a gift.
Kind bounce indeed, right into the waiting mitts of Pat Parfrey, and Canada gets 5 more, 24-0. Makeable conversion under most circumstances. A bit tougher with this wind, although it has died for the moment out there as we look at the flags on the far side of the field. Still feel the breeze though. Approaching the 25-minute mark here of this first half. And a confidence building 25 minutes it's been here for Canada after the heartbreak of last week versus Japan. McCrory in to take the kick. It's up and through for Canada. 26-0. Canada leads. And maybe they won't wait another 11 years for another international test match here in Calgary, given the success so far.
Well, two things. The Russians, we have to see what they're made of. Are they totally going to fold their tent here? And is Canada really going to run this up? And on the other hand, Canada really has to build on this game. They have the Italians next week at BMO Field in Toronto. I'm sure we'll see the reserves come in the second half, and they'll be vying for spots for next Sunday's game in Toronto. Both sides have a lot to still play for.
A try and 3 conversions now for McCrory for 11 points, 3 of 4 with his kicks. Canada clears the high kick to center. And Paris is there with a crushing tackle. And Russia with the ball. Seems like for the first time in a long time. Down the left side. Rudenko carries.
Yes, that's fine.
Turnover. Cudmore comes away with the ball. Errant pass by Barkwell, but into the waiting hands of Aaron Carpenter.
No.
McCrory left for Parfrey. Far side for Blevins.
You lost too. Leave it now.
The white shirts. Down he goes. Parfrey on the other side. McCrory to Parfrey. Sampson. Not afraid to run with the ball today. He is rumbling through the white jerseys. Parfrey to Evans. Chipped ahead. Clean catch though for the Russians, and they take over. Kolomitsev, the winger, taken down hard. Barkwell and Olmsted combined for that stop. And Sears Dewar reaches in for a turnover. Now ball's high in the air.
Offside. Offside. You can't step over the rock.
And an offside call against Canada. Russia will get the ball back cleanly.
One. You can't step over the rock. It's the rock.
On Sears Dewar for stepping over the ruck. Is he here there?
I would think whether it's Jamie Cudmore on the field or Mark Anscombe at halftime, what they're going to ask of the Canadian players is not to give away penalties, to maintain their structure, to go straight ahead and let the game unfold as it will. Keep running, spreading the ball. The Russians aren't going to give up, but their heads are down right now.
Russia kicks it ahead to gain some territory. And this is as promising as the day has been so far for Russia. Down at the Canadian 10 as we pass the 28-minute mark. In by Gasanov.
Yep.
Into the middle for Rudoy. Sherman digs it loose to start things on the far side. A little bit of room for Russia now. And disrupted by Barkwell, I believe, as he throwing his hand into the air to grab a piece of that Russian pass. Running back on D. That looked like a sure try for Russia.
Yep, stay. Stay.
Critical turnover in deep for Russia. Canada's defense tested for the first time all day here. Well, with possession of the ball deep in their own zone right now. Quick kick for McCrory to relieve some of that pressure. High along the sideline, didn't get it out, and Russia takes over. Swinging it to Kolomitsev with some speed, dishing to Temnov. One step, a straight arm to get some room. Back to Kolomitsev. No room for him to go. Taken down by Bailey. Sherman into the middle. Rudoy. Sherman gets it back. Antonov rumbles to the ground. Russia pushing forward.
Stay there. Stay there.
His pass there, loose ball, picked up again on the far side by Uzunov. Nice dribble by Garbuzov. Garbuzov across the line for the first try of the day for Russia. And it was a promising possession from the start. It ends up being Zykov to punch it in.
No, I'm happy with that. Yeah, no, made the tackle well. Thank you.
Well done by Russia as they do link some passes for the first time all day long. And there was some thought perhaps that it was a second effort to get in, but great pass from Zykov to Garbuzov. And Russia is on the board.
And the Russians did have a few nice phases before that. They almost had a try in the corner. It was interesting last week after the game. I had a conversation with Mark Anscombe, and he thought some of the Canadian failures against Japan were the result of fitness. And we're getting into the last 10 minutes of the first quarter. Russia seems to be coming on a little bit. There's obviously been no substitutions. The Canadian boys have to pick it up and take it home here at the half. You would think if this margin stays, that Mark Anscombe will make some changes coming out of the dressing room at halftime, but if there are some late scores for Russia, maybe that game plan changes. Kushnarev in with the kick. It's good. The full 7 for Russia. Still a comfortable lead, but a full 7 points on the board will pick up the spirits of the Russian team a little bit here as they get into the final 8 minutes of this opening half. And as the Canadian forwards head up to center field, Jamie Cudmore was leading them on, clapping his hands, saying, come on, we got to go here. They don't want to back into the halftime. They want to get back in the Russian end and try and punch another one over. Not the kick they wanted there. Garbuzov rumbles into the middle. Swinging to the strong side here. Kolomitsev with it on the wing. Stops, spins off of one tackle. There's a driving ball here for Russia. Yep. Kolomitsev in the middle of it. They get him across the center line.
Still moving, still moving.
It's a spinning ball, but they are still moving. Finally, the ball goes to the ground. And at the bottom of that is Evan Olmsted. Good job by Canada to control that ball as it looked promising for a moment there for Russia.
Time off, please.
What's not good is Evan Olmsted's holding his right knee. He was at the bottom of that as the Russians collapsed on top of him. Sears Duru is holding his right shoulder. Hopefully they're just a bit tuckered out as they lumber back to the scrummage. Canadian put in. It has been physical.
Our side of the field, Jamie Cudmore is down as well. Canadian jerseys littered everywhere, it appears.
He made a big tackle earlier, and it looked like he was wiping his eye. He might have got poked in the eye.
He's up and trotting back to the action here. As we get set for a Canadian scrum. Just on their side of center. Eating away clock time here. Slowing the game down a little bit, just as Russia maybe tried to pry loose some momentum. Maybe not a bad idea for Canada.
Crouch. Bind. Sit.
Rory lays it in.
Yep. Use it.
Carpenter gets things started for Moore. Runs into quick opposition. Bailey just got the pass away to Parfrey. Paris now on the far line. Tries to shake loose, does so momentarily, gained a few extra meters.
Cross it out. Left now, right, 5, stay.
Cudmore takes the hit, keeps possession of the ball. Back to the strong side for Canada. Blevins more had trouble with it, maintained possession. A great move on one step. Finally taken down, but a great step there by Moore to gain some ground for Canada. McRory to Parfrey. Almost a high tackle by Russia, but
It's a tackle!
Rumble meets opposition, lays off for Moore. He goes down quickly. Barco goes in to help. Strong ruck for Canada, McRory. Switching things up, Evans has some room, going to switch the field on his own. Back to Blevins. Nearly shook off the tackle, finally gets back up and does. Strong possession for Canada, not getting a lot of ground here, but also not fumbling the ball with their passes, crisp passes now.
And available.
McRory appealing for some help. Finally, the ball comes loose for Carpenter. Drives the ball forward past center.
9.
35-minute mark has been gained here in the first half. Sears Duru held up at the center line. Don't forget, next Sunday, Canada versus Italy, BMO Field in Toronto, noon Eastern start time. We'll have it for you here on TSN. Tickets are available too, I believe, as low as $19. So if you want to check out the new climbs there at BMO Field and see what should be a very competitive match between those two squads.
Canada's still reeling from that World Cup loss in Leeds. They had the Italians on the ropes. They're really looking forward to next weekend.
So there's Duru to Evans. Quick pass behind Carpenter. Has to go back to retrieve. Good idea to throw it backward, but now a loose ball inside the 10, and Parfrey's able to fall onto it.
Now! Release White! Use it 9.
Inside the 22, a high looping kick gets out to clear for Canada.
Time off subs.
Final 4 minutes here, and early substitutions, it appears.
HIA? Okay, got it. Please.
And an early substitution due to
Time on.
head injury protocol. As Taylor Paris will come off, and in comes Jordan Wilson-Ross. Paris will get assessed for the next 15 minutes. Wilson-Ross on for him. And Russia takes over just inside the Canadian half line. Bobbled pass. Russia still with ball.
No, stay there.
They swing towards the strong side now. Zykov into the waiting hands of Rudoy. He's quickly tackled there by Moore.
Tackle, leave it 5 it.
Loose ball there, just gathered in.
Leave it.
Rudenko starts them onto the right side for Rudoy again. Strong run by Russia down the far line. And a big run down the middle. What a play there by Antonov. Kicked ahead and into the lines. The weighted arms of Wilson-Ross. Now he has room. A sure try it looked like for Russia. Wilson-Ross goes down hard, but quick up again to gain another meter. Sears Duru into help.
Leave it, White, leave it!
And what an error by Russia near the try line, as it seemed like points were forthcoming once more. So close to punching it in. Antonov can sense it near, but the pass was low. Garbazov couldn't handle it. Wilson-Ross takes it the other way down the near side line, but that results in a dinged up Justice Sears Duru as well, as he came in to support Wilson-Ross. And once again, pointing to that shoulder, same reason he was down the first time.
No, let's go.
A few moments ago.
Carry on. Let's go. What off, please?
And Sears Dewar looks like he will shrug it off and stay in here, but given that he's been down twice in this first half, you wonder if he might be one of those substitutions coming up for the second half. And quite a first half indeed it's been for Canada, with 26 points on the board. See the full stands here at Calgary Rugby Park. Treated to this points explosion for Canada. Sold out, standing room available, and each end as well. And that is 2-3 deep. Fabulous support here. Prairie Wolfpack, the club side that calls this home, and
give it time. 6.
they get good support as well.
Yeah, give it time. 7. Yeah.
Barklow with the line out for Canada. Under a minute left on the clock here. Unsuccessful lineup for Canada, but ends up working in their favor. Advantage played.
White on 15.
And the ball given back to Russia. So lineouts have not been the strong suit for Canada this far. It will be a point to work on in the second half here for Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
Although Mark Anscombe will have little to criticize when they go in at halftime, up by 19 points here as the clock winds down in the first half. A scrum at center for Russia. Alexei Sherban will lay the ball in.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
And the scrums have been a bone of contention for the referee, and I'm sure the Russian coach will have some issue with it as well. And right there again on the extraction, Russia's sloppy ball play, and Canada's able to jump on it. McRory to Sears Dewar, great touch pass to Moore. He did not have much time to Sears Dewar, but he made it work.
Stay.
Markle goes down.
Yep.
Final possession here of this first half, and what a first half it's been as Canada kicks it away, and that will do it. And Brian, that has to be considered the perfect antidote to any down feelings for Team Canada after last week.
They certainly didn't feel sorry for themselves leaving Vancouver. They had a great week of practice. They knew they could put it to Russia, and they've delivered the goods for 40 minutes so far, Blake.
Points to work on, to be sure, but when there's 26 points on the board and just 7 against, not a lot of room for criticism for Mark Anstrom and his crew. And the weather not playing an issue here. It stayed dry in that first half. The wind even complied a little bit. It blew, but it wasn't a determining factor here as we send it back down to Brian Spenton alongside Gordon McCrory.
Gordon, an ideal first half for the Canadians. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I think the first 20 minutes we came out of the blocks really well, stuck to our structure, stuck to our process, really looked up and saw where their weaknesses are and exposed them.
Canada has had problems playing with a lead. How do you approach the second half?
We just got to play the way we've been playing, stick to our process as I said before. Don't worry about the score too much, just make sure we do our job, that we have our roles in place and we keep to them.
Thanks, Gordon.
Thanks, Brian. Cheers.
Thank you, gentlemen. A 19-point lead for Canada headed to the second half. We'll see what role the reserves will have to begin the second half of action. Back to Calgary in a moment.
When a player is chosen to represent their country in rugby, they are often said to have earned a cap. After many years, the Canadian Rugby Foundation and Rugby Canada have returned to the practice of awarding actual caps to those players playing their first international game. Maria Sampson earned her first cap against South Africa during the 2011 Nations Cup in Oakville, Ontario. Since joining the national team, she has earned a total of 21 caps. At the regional level, Maria has played for 10 different clubs across Canada, including spearheading the creation of a women's team for the Dog River Howlers Rugby Club. She's been a member of Team Alberta since 2008, captaining the team since 2013. She was also captain of the inaugural Senior Women's Prairies Wolfpack team last year. Maria was named the 2012 Rugby Canada Female Player of the Year and was also the recipient of the
Welcome back, everyone. Halftime here at Calgary Rugby Park. Canada and Russia. Blake Price with Brian Smanton alongside. And, of course, this is not the only Canadian men's national rugby team in action. The Sevens team continues their Olympic qualifying tournament in Monaco, Brian. And after an early try given up, Connor Traynor looked to get the Canadians back on track.
It was a good day for Canada. They start up.
One more time, ladies and gentlemen, Maria Simpson.
Welcome back, everyone. Halftime here at Calgary Rugby Park. Canada and Russia. Blake Price with Brian Spanton alongside. And, of course, this is not the only Canadian men's national rugby team in action. The Sevens team continues their Olympic qualifying tournament in Monaco, Brian. And after an early try given up, Connor Traynor looked to get the Canadians back on track.
It was a good day for Canada. They start off well against Uruguay, followed that up against Sri Lanka, but the stubborn Germans would give them all they could handle and more. Very disappointing result in the end, and big work for the Canadians tomorrow if they want to go through.
A late try for Germany puts them over the top, and the final rush by Canada is thwarted. They're giving them a 2-1 record on opening day, but still a qualifying position in the quarterfinals. A blanking of Uruguay and Sri Lanka looked to get them in good stead heading into that third and final match, but ultimately a 2-point defeat at the hands of Germany. Rugby Canada's Gareth Rees joins us here. And day one, the highs and lows, right? The two blanks are great, but then the loss.
Yeah, Sevens never fails to surprise. We thought Ireland beating Samoa would be the story of day one, but those highlights there with Germany getting on top of us, big story. It doesn't really change what's happening day two, though, so it's all set up for a big, important day for Canadian rugby tomorrow.
And the Canadian bracket, Garrett, they face the pesky Russians. We're 3-3, the Canadians are, against this tough side. A lot of pressure on Canada versus Russia in Calgary. Immense pressure on Canada versus Russia in Monaco tomorrow.
Yeah, no question. You see the bottom half of that draw, the Samoans, the clear favorites there. But we knew we were going to have to beat teams to get to that Olympic spot. So we'll have to go through Russia and then possibly Ireland after that. So it's exciting times. Set your alarms, get up early, because the boys are giving it a run and they're going to try and get to the Olympics.
To be the best, to qualify, you got to beat the best, and Canada will probably have to do just that against teams like Samoa and Russia coming up first, of course, in the elimination day tomorrow in Monaco. We come back with more halftime from Calgary in just a moment.
We got some special guests that are going to handle this contest. James from the Wolfpack, take it away, my friend.
How we doing, everybody? Welcome to Calgary Rugby Park. That's a little bit better. Now, the Calgary Rugby Union and the Prairie Wolfpack, who I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with because we got some good rugby fans in the house this afternoon, are throwing on a very special promotion. We're going to have Amanda here. Let's give it up for Amanda.
You bet.
Try to find one of our local Wolfpack legends, Eric Lopatinski. It's here for E-Rock.
Yep.
and she is going to win a fantastic prize package from the Prairie Wolf Pack and from Rugby Canada if she does one simple thing. And that's make a stone cold.
Take a breath. You said you're the athlete. Time to brag about it.
Stuff seen everyone drinking.
That's going to be a little tough to do without the sense
Then
of
Brian
sight.
Smith and
You guys to really jump in and make this work. If Amanda gets close to the bag,
that's a good line for you. Oh, that's good. Yeah, very good. Yeah, absolutely.
It's pretty easy to do. I'm sure
I'm just following you here, pal.
Yep, we're just running it down. It's going to be the 4 tries.
So, without further ado, with a massive Rugby Canada prize package on the way.
Thank you.
Take a free shot at E-Rock.
Parfrey, Evans, Paris, McCrory. Sorry, I try and write neater. You know I'm a pharmacist.
Totally. Or a doctor, just period.
What was it, 26?
This looks good right about here, Amanda. You have got 1 minute and 30 seconds to find E-Rock. Crowd, this starts with you. Let's hear it for Amanda.
Yeah, it's a halftime thing. How's it feeling?
He's out.
Out?
He's on risk. He's building something.
It's too bad he had a great first half. The ball was finding him, you know? Paris.
I think it's precautionary, Peter.
Oh, really? Yeah. The ball was just finding him. Every time there was somebody darting, it was him.
All right, don't worry, don't worry.
The Summer Series continues for Team Canada 8 days from now, Sunday, June 26th at BMO Field in Toronto, a noon Eastern kickoff for that one. You'll see it here on TSN. Tickets still available for those in the area as well. Blake Price back with Brian Spenton here in Calgary. Fabulous atmosphere at Calgary Rugby Park, and they were treated, well, to exactly the kind of game that you would hope that Canada would play against Russia.
Canada came out and scored early and often. It all started with Gordon McCrory. He missed a few kicks in Vancouver, but he would lead the charge early in the game. Great handling in the Canadian back line. McCrory would dart over for the early try. He converted. It was 7-0 at that point.
And just 5 minutes later, they are back at it again. And one of the key contributors of that first half was Taylor Paris.
He had a lot of ball in the first half, threw it around, scored a great try last week, followed it up this week. Did take a head knock, and we've just heard he may not come back in the second half as precautionary, but very, very nice hands. And this is another great try. Paris popping it back inside to Matt Evans, and he's between the posts for Canada.
Pat Parfrey rounds out the scoring for Canada as they built a 26-0 lead before the game was 25 minutes old.
Yeah, that was a bit of a scrappy play. The bounce went the Canadians' way, and 26-7, a dream half for the Canadians. They do have to keep it up. The set piece was good. The lineout was good. Russia's playing very scrappy. They're frustrated. I think Canada wants to put in a good 40-minute shift and get out of Calgary.
So we know there will probably be one definite lineup change going into that second half with Taylor Paris having to come out. Wilson Ross will stay into that spot as he did at the end of that first half. We'll see if Mark Anscombe feels that the lead is large enough that maybe he can throw in some of the other reserves, maybe right off the get-go. And we'll find out as the second half kicks off next on TSN.
welcome back to the field, Russia.
Canada gets set to head back onto the field here in Calgary for second half action, up 26-7 on Russia. And not until they set foot onto the field, the starting group here for the second half, will we see what changes Mark Anscombe will have made. What is your anticipation, Brian? You've got a couple of seconds left to look like a genius here. Does he have wholesale changes, or does he stick with much of that main group, do you think?
I think he'll start with the group he finished the first half with. The changes will start shortly. I think he's going to want to give the entire bench a run this afternoon, and then they'll reshift their focus towards Italy. The job's not quite done here. I think they really want to have a big second half. You know, when I talked to Gordon McCrory, he mentioned about sticking with structure, sticking with the game plan, and I followed up with, we have seen Canada in the lead in the last quarter. We've seen Canada in the lead and lose a game at the death. They seem to be in control today, but I think it's very important they play for 40 minutes and continue to dominate this game.
And your prediction proves to be true. Of course, Taylor Paris does appear to be done for the afternoon. Jordan Wilson-Ross in for him on left wing.
And the good news about that is that seems to be totally precautionary. I'm not sure if he's going to go under the concussion protocol, but he seems to be fine. With a large lead in a big game next week, he's taking it off.
Evans to Paris' replacement, Wilson-Ross, who spins off one. Why did he do another? No, taken down by Gerasimov. McCrory to Cudmore. Hard collision in the center of the field. Support is there. Rumble. Looking for Sampson, couldn't find him. Goes down. And a quick clear by McCrory, high to the 22 of Russia. Artemyev got things started for Russia. They swing out to the far side.
You lost too!
Ruck goes down just before the half line. Sears Duru tumbling over. Back into the Canadian arms, and both teams playing for territory, and now up to touch for Russia. Giving the ball back to Canada in midfield for Ray Barkwell and another Canadian lineout. Not a perfect first half in that regard, so they'll look to tweak and be better here in the second half. Clean throw. Canada possesses. Into the middle they go.
You lost white now! No, 5! It's hands. It's hands. It's the ruck.
The referee spots an infraction there in the ruck, and the hands in on number 5, Antonov. Gives the ball back to Canada. And with the wind, tantalizing indeed, McCrory will look for the kick.
You heard Captain Cudmore say post right away, despite a 19-point margin here. He wants to get it over 3 converted tries. A penalty here would make it a 22-point lead. Part of the job of a captain is to make these decisions. I'm sure he's had conversations with Coach Anscombe about how they do their business. The fans probably want to see Canada spread the ball around the field, probably the right move here. Get up by more than 3 converted tries. Really bury the Russians.
And the wind is strong, not over the top, but it's certainly there in McCrory's favor. And we continue this trend of early points on the board in each half. It is up and through. McCrory up to 14 points on the day now for him, and it's 29-7 for Canada. Just past the 43-minute mark. And the penalties for Canada, or for Russia, pardon me, really coming back to haunt them. You saw all the scrums that have broken down, and it's been an undisciplined day for Russia so far.
And the kicking game in any sport can be very mental, and Cudmore probably wanted McCrory, you know, now that he's feeling good about himself, getting his stroke back, to get his confidence back. They'll need the points next week against the Italians, and he looked very confident addressing and stroking that penalty.
And McCrory is running through ways to score in this game when you look at it. Conversion kick, penalty kick. He scored a try himself. I suppose the drop kick is left on the menu. After that, they'll have to invent a new one. McCrory's up for all the challenges today here in Calgary. He's got the ball now. Dishes right to Sears. Duru shakes off with one step. What a move! But he just stepped out of bounds. And where will they bring it back? Just to center line.
Right there, his right foot, then his left foot. Very agile for a big man. Did a little shake and bake. Fans love that.
And good for Bidyev. Asam Apatiev to come over and challenge him. The 2-1s coming together on that far sideline. Gives the ball back to Russia with Canada carrying the ball out of bounds. Clean throw in there, but the pass off the line out is not a clean one. And on advantage, here's Dewar gets another go down that sideline. Evans with some room. McCrory now on the right side. He's done it again. What a day for Gordon McCrory. (34-7) for Canada.
We talked about Sears Duru. He's having another fabulous game, following up on his Vancouver effort. He wants to run with the ball. He doesn't want to scrummage. And McCrory, too quick, too jinky. He goes under the post for his second try. 3 converts and a penalty. 4th convert to come. 21 points by my math if he makes this.
What a day for McCrory. And he might have felt a little ownership last week with the way the kicking game went. He has made up for that in spades here today.
They got the ball and they should. Me too.
Now Canada's longtime kicker on this men's 15s team, James Pritchard, who only recently has left the rotation. He's the all-time leading scorer and holds the record for most points in a test match in a Canadian game, 36. So there's some ways to go here for McCrory, but the way that this first half has started, never say never.
I think that was in Bridgetown against Barbados in a World Cup qualifier, if I'm not mistaken. And we didn't cover that. I put my hand up, but they wouldn't fly us down.
Russia now looking to, again, grab back any semblance of momentum. And they didn't have a bad close to that first half, but they've been smacked down again here by Canada to start the second. On the far side, Rudenko. Kolomitsev didn't have any luck, but he's been trying to find extra ground all day long anytime he's had the ball. They reverse again, Kushnarov. Greshev battling for territory here, pushing across the Canadian 10-meter line. Hard run again by Zikov. We've seen him carry the ball a couple of times. Nearly had the score, of course. Or actually did have the score, nearly had another on the fumble play at the end of the second half. Again, errant pass by Russia. Pushing through. Driving maul here.
Tackle, release it! No, the ball is... It's a tackle, no more. You need to
no maul there, pardon me. They call it a tackle.
No.
And we have mentioned a couple times how the Canadians will move on to Toronto and face the Italians next weekend. Russia will be going southwest to Sacramento, California, and playing an improving U.S. Eagles side at Bonnie Field. So Russia have a lot to play for. They obviously have the pride in the last 30 minutes of this game, but they're also playing for spots, and they are moving on their summer series as well.
Also want to probably iron out some of the wrinkles here before they face a pretty game Eagles squad down in the U.S. as well. They want to make sure that this sort of margin of victory does not repeat itself. Now we should mention, little birdie told us before the game, there are, and you know, this might speak to the scrum issues that we've seen from Russia here today. A couple of the key props that Russia would normally be bringing into a contest like this were not able to make it into the country.
There were some visa issues. Usually that's not without a reason. Something must have been up. They've dropped a few players before they even got here. I don't know if it's exposing their lack of depth, but Canada certainly had their way with them, both in the sets and overall today.
Grinding away now, though. And the short game is working well for them as they get closer to their second try of the day.
No, tackle! Stay! Hey!
The ball is close. Rudenko couldn't get more than a meter. Kushnarov onto the right side, and Artemyev slips out a try as well, but stopped just shy. Good defense here by Canada. Serban takes it loose. Reaching for the ball in that ruck. Swings it out. Kolomitsev mishandled the ball, but right into the waiting arms of Vuzunov.
Yes, fine. Turn the right, fine.
Russia pushing hard for their second try of the game.
Stays in. Stays in.
Canada's actually nicked it, Blake, and I think they're just going to try and clear it here, whether it's Matt Evans or Gordon McCrory. The Russians spilled it. Canadians very fortunate, good defense, and it looks like they're going to prevent a Russian score there.
Rory keeps it in play. Kolomitsev back to retrieve for Russia. As the sun starts to peek out a little bit. Rudenko taken down.
You know? Yes, fine. Fine.
Picked again by Canada. Wilson Ross now. So elusive since he's entered the game. Here's Duru, who gets some room.
It's fine.
Wilson Ross has been a devil to take down for Russia here. Since he came on for Taylor Paris, who had a heck of a game before he had to leave with the head injury.
No advantage.
Carpenter to Evans.
Advantage over.
Advantage over, Russia.
No, play on.
Gives it back. McCrory's got it again. Taken down in the middle of the field. Quick pass though, as they get going again. Evans with a nice run. Rumble. Ilnicki, Sears Duru. On to Carpenter.
No offside, tackle. Forward.
And Russia intending to kick it onto themselves, and it ends up being a turnover.
Yeah, Cudmore collected it and very quickly hit McCrory on the fly. I thought he might be in for the hat trick. The Russian defense stiffened, and then the Canadians spilled the ball. It will be a Russian put into the scrum here.
Time off.
Russian players down though.
Seconds down.
Hasn't been nearly as physical a game in the middle of the field as we saw last week, but nevertheless, a couple of players have been down. Garbasov in this case.
Okay guys, water off. Yes, scrum.
Up and back into the scrum he goes. And we are set to get back into action here with Russia starting play deep in their own zone. Down by 29 points to a very game group of Canadians here at Calgary Rugby Park.
In every international, you see the reserve bench get up and stretch and go for a run and be ready to go, but I've never seen a Canadian bench so excited and ready. They all want to get in and run the ball around. There's so much room out there today. And as we've noted a few times, Coach Mark Anscombe will probably make a few changes in the near future.
Okay, Jimmy, next time, here we go. Time on, scrum white. Scrum white. Yeah,
and referee Shuhei Kubo from Japan tries to make some sense of a scrum here, as it has been a bit gamey down there at times.
I got it. Okay, here we go. I wait.
I'd love to get onto the game.
The players appealing for the game to continue here.
Let's go.
We're set for the scrum.
Crouch. Bind. Sit.
Out of the scrum, Russia. Taken down, Radoy had no room to go. Quick pass for the breakdown.
Time off.
And first Russian substitution, Alexei Volkov comes in. Azamat Batiev. Got that nice tackle of Sears Doer on the far sideline, comes off.
Scrum.
And we'll see if Volkov can make a difference. That last Russian scrum was in a heap. The Canadians were pushing them back, caused a turnover, caused a knock on. This is a Canadian put in. Terrific attacking position. We'll see what the Canadians have on here.
54 minutes old here in Calgary. Canada with a dominating lead.
Crouch.
And looking to show well going into the final game of this summer series in Toronto next Sunday.
Sit.
McCrory puts it in for Canada. Carpenter to McCrory. Harfrey swings it wide. Sampson has some room. Dishes it off.
You lost, say. You lost.
McCrory organizes to Carpenter. And Bailey held up. McCrory off for Blevins.
Stay.
Canada swings strong side. Evans has some room. Tries to make a step to Wilson Ross. Around one man, around another. He's in for the try. Well, Jordan Wilson Ross has made quite an impact since coming in for Taylor Paris. Under normal circumstances, we'd say he might be winning over the position, except for how well Paris had played before leaving.
But he's certainly throwing his hand up for the game next week. That was another broken play. The Russian defense were in terrible position, and Matt Evans would pass it off. Wilson Ross in. It looks like the Russian defense was totally crisscrossed on that. That was too easy for Canada.
Once Canada's able to establish that big, strong side, if they're able to switch fields, boy, have they been deadly with their passing. And the substitutions will start now, apparently, for Mark Anscombe, as Eric Howard comes in to replace Barkwell. And that is just the beginning, you would think, here for Canada.
And I thought Barkwell, just like last week against the Japanese, had a very good game, both in the sets and around the park. He was like a squirrel at the bottom of some of the rucks today, and handled the ball well. And he'll have a hot shower and start thinking about Italy already, I'm sure.
Another successful kick from McCrory. 6 for 7 today. Boy, has he made amends. And in tougher conditions, we might add, rather than the climate-controlled conditions inside BC Place. Then he comes out to the swirling winds of Calgary, and he goes 6 of 7 with his foot.
Well, he is Scottish, and he does know the conditions very well. Maybe the conditions were too good inside beautiful BC Place for him.
43-7 for Canada.
And this is just what the doctor ordered for the Canadian confidence, for their psyche. They've lost too many close games. They've been beaten in the end too often. And this group's worked extremely hard, and they're being rewarded today.
Wilson Ross controls on the kickoff. And we should keep in mind here for our viewers that there is only a difference of 1 here in the world ranking, 18 versus 19. This is not Canada taking on a minnow in terms of world rankings. Strong lead here for Canada. Sears Duru goes flying for the tackle, missed him, but forces the ball to the far side. As the sun shines brightly here on Calgary Rugby Park, and a fabulous performance for Canada. Garbasov taken down. Gerasimov couldn't find any room. Artemyev starts them the other way. Strong tackle there by Howard as he gets his first touch of action after his substitution for Barkle.
Yes, yes.
And an injury on the far side for Russia, we should mention. Zykov is down. And Canada gets possession just inside their half. We'll try to gain some ground down the line. And now a cramp, it appears.
Time off. 4 red off and 7 white.
Substitutions continue here for Canada and for Russia, as the day is over for Cudmore. And he comes off to quite an ovation here in Calgary. Parfrey's still working on that left leg that seized up on him when he kicked the ball to touch. We'll have to keep an eye on him. In for Cudmore, by the way, is Cameron Pierce, who comes into the contest. And he's in the center of things right now as the ruck forms. The ball squirts loose, and now driving forward.
Last lead, white!
Quick play to Blevins. Met by 3 white shirts on the far side. Grinding away, looking for territory. Played out once more, and now Matt Evans to Sampson. Looping pass to Wilson Ross, looking for more for that fabulous try moments ago. No room this time, though. McCrory to Parfrey. Looks no worse for wear, despite some cramping there momentarily. Olmstead. Rare carry for him today. The yeoman's work in the trenches. Rumble. Long pass out for Sampson to Evans. Wilson Ross, a little bit of room. Tiptoes down the sideline, able to dig it loose and make the pass, but now play is blown down as he did touch the sideline.
Time off 7 red ones. 7 red.
But Wilson Ross has been dangerous on that wing. And the substitutions continue. Alistair Clark is into the game. Lucas Rumble comes out.
Evgeny Elgin, number 19. And number 20, Pavel Bukenko.
And it looks like Zykov actually is hurt. It's not going to be a tactical substitution. I think he has a problem with his ribs. He hurt them a few moments ago, so the tight head for Russia is coming off as well.
That's 3 white.
So that is a wholesale prop substitution so far here for Russia in this second half. Podrazov will come in.
Yep, right now.
For him.
Yep.
Number 18 for Russia.
One more substitution of number 20. Alistair Clark is in for number 7, Lucas.
And the battle of the reserves is shaping up here in the second half in Calgary. But if the early dividends are any indication, Canada's second team is more than ready. And the line out here for Russia. Carrying out of the ball there is Rudoy. Sears Dewar reaching in for it.
Exactly the same. It's a hand. It's still rocked. You can't hands it out. Exactly the same picture.
But he gets called for the hands in, and the ball comes back to Russia.
It's a rock.
Sears Dewar has been hungry for that ball all day long. A couple of times he's had hands in. But it's that, I think it's that adrenaline you talked about. They just want to get in there. They can see the action.
They've had too many games where the ball's been very scarce, and now that the ball's available, every player on the field, not just the back line, the big heavy forwards. We saw Evan Olmsted go for a gallop. We've seen Sears Dewar go for a couple. Jamie Cudmore, before he went off, had a few nice runs. They all want to get at it.
And Parfrey limps off. His day is done. We saw that coming when he seized up with the seemingly harmless kick. And on for him is Liam Underwood. 22, making his first Canadian cap since the last World Cup that ended in injury for him.
He played almost an entire half in Cardiff, Wales against Ireland with a cracked patella.
Nice run there by Greshev down this near sideline. Sherban digs it loose and keeps the momentum going for Russia. Passing has not been ideal for Russia. There have been drop balls such as that one onto Wilson Ross. He sees Sears Dewar. The big forward taken down hard, but he saw nothing but grain in front of him, nearly away.
Stay. Hey, 17.
Carpenter sidesteps one check, gains a couple of more meters.
Stay white.
And 2 Canadians are down on the pitch, including Sears Dewar, who has been down a couple of times already. I would be surprised if he's not one of the substitutions coming up here for Mark Hanscom. And a nice run by Dan Moore down the far sideline. 3 Canadians then. Canada effectively playing with a dozen players out there right now, and not faring too badly. Finally kicked the touch.
Looks like Bailey might have a cramp.
Trying to work it through, you're right, on that right leg.
Of more concern, Sears Dewar was holding his hamstring, and it looked like Sampson was down with a cramp as well.
And a fabulous run by Wilson Ross, dishing off to Sears Dewar. He nearly got through and got away.
Yeah. Keep going. No, keep going, keep going.
He never got up after that takedown.
No time, let's go.
With the trainers on the field right now, there's about 40 people. The referee wants the game to continue.
Carry on. Carry on.
And Dewar shakes it off.
Why back?
But how long does he have?
If I'm Mark Hanscom, I get him off the field. You want him fit for Italy. And if he's twanging the muscle, he's holding his left hamstring right now, I'd get him off the field pretty quick.
He has been a mountain for Canada in this summer series so far.
He's had another blinder today, Blake. He's been terrific.
Yep. And Russia goes to the strong side, looking for some room. And Canada's depth being given an opportunity / test here in Calgary. And a strong run. The big forwards have carried the ball. a few times for Russia as well. Podrazov with a gallop.
Six. Backwards.
Nice run down the far sideline as Russia continues to try and gain ground. Cameron Pierce is now down as well for Canada on the pitch. The day started quite humid, so this could all be some cramping, but now a little bit of room for Rudoy. Sidesteps the tackle of Wilson Ross. Rudoy gets all the way down to the 22 of Canada. Stronger runs for Russia so far today. Some consolation despite the 36-point margin they face here.
22 off the feet, step.
Pierce continues way back of the play.
22, yeah.
Nice run by Rudoy, as we mentioned, facing off with Wilson Ross and able to get another couple meters just by plowing through the Canadian winger. And this is just, it's kind of odd, all of the injuries. I mean, there's players just splayed across the ground, it appears, at any given moment.
But I think you have to manage the minutes. Mark Anscombe and his staff, and there's guys they should get off the field. Cam Pierce, I don't know if that's a cramp, but he doesn't look good. He's staying on, even though he did come on for Cudmore. But he looks like he's injured.
Now Matt Tierney will come on, and you would think for Sears Duru.
Cam Pierce just signaled he has to come off. He's really struggling. It looks like with his right knee.
He might be going all the way in, so Sears Duru remains. You're right, he's on for...
Hang on.
Oh, Pierce is back into the fray. We'll get this sorted out. In for Jake Ilnicki.
1-3 white off.
Ilnicki's played well. Duru's got all the press clippings, but Ilnicki's been very solid, both in Vancouver and in Calgary. And I think he's warranted the start next week at tight head prop versus the Italians, who will bring a much stiffer test to the Canadian lads.
50. 1-3 white. 1-3 white off.
Russian side starting to make changes as well.
Go.
Anton Ryabov comes into the game. They replace Dmitry Gerasimov, and they push forward looking for their second try of the day, ever so close. And the big Russian body is trying to grind away towards the line. And they are in. So the big-bodied Russians, many of whom just got into the game, helped contribute to the second try of the contest for Russia. Evgeny Matveev ultimately pushing through, and Russia's up to 12 points on the board, still 31 in arrears, with the conversion still to come here for Russia.
Sorry, I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Matveev does end up getting it across the line, but despite some additional efforts there by Evgeny Elgin as well. So the reserves by Russia are proving their worth, their mettle. And Elgin is, the guy that ends up pushing it across the line. Matveev close by as well as the ruck form near the Canadian line. They ultimately punch it through. The conversion is up and through for the full 7. So Russia has been good on that regard, converting both of their tries today, and they're up to 14 points on the day.
And with Jamie Cudmore off the park, the captain is going to be Aaron Carpenter, and he just called the Canadian boys into the end zone while Russia were attempting their convert. And I'm sure he said to them, fellas, it's been a good afternoon. Let's win the last 20 minutes. Let's keep it going. Let's play hard. Let's not let them play in our end and punch another one over. Let's get in their end, finish the job, and get out of here.
And Cameron Pierce, we see in the far try line, is being carried off back to the Canadian side. And that brings on Tom Dolezal as well off of the Canadian bench. So,
but by my math, based on that being an injury, the Canadians now have 3 props and a hooker on the field. I'm not sure who's going to play second row.
So Dolezal's in.
Euros, red! Red!
The big London St. George's man, Tom Dolezal, will play second row.
No.
And as him getting a good long look at his entire roster here today in Calgary. Dolomitsev, who has been dying to get loose, nearly does there, but turned aside by Canada.
Neck roll. Thank you. Neck rolling by White.
Substitution.
And that'll bring the ball back to Canada, or to
White
Canada, pardon me.
Neck rolling.
Number 19, Cameron Pierce.
Tense times for the Canadians and their staff. They want to finish the job. A lot of knocks and niggles, so they're going to have to reassess a lot of players after this game.
And it's funny that it comes in this game. You know, it was a bruising game, and so it appeared to the naked eye last week versus Japan, and they escaped relatively unscathed outside of Stoller. And yet this game with some runs produces a boatload of injuries.
9 White off. 9
The
White
substitutions continue for Russia as well. Sherban's had an active game. Alexei Sherban comes off. Rushan Yagudin,
No. You get that way.
number 21, into the game for Russia.
Hold on.
I thought Sherban was one of the better Russians at halfback. He was into the play. He was doing his best to shepherd his forwards and get them going. It just wasn't happening.
Howard with the line out for Canada. And they ball forward, looking for more. Trying to dig it loose.
Last week, Last week. Stay. No hands.
Looking to get into the hands of some of the big men and get it closer to the line. Olmsted. Dolezal had it for a moment. They continue to grind away here. Howard has a go.
Last week, White.
Canada, inch by inch, closer to a try. McCrory swings it out wide now. Underwood couldn't find his way free.
Stay, 20. Vantage, side entry.
McCrory with the fake pass. That didn't open up any room for him. He's met by the group of Russians in the middle of the field.
No vantage. 20 White, side entry.
Side entry there for Russia. Gives the ball back to Canada. The advantage did not go in Canada's favor in terms of getting the try, and now a decision for them indeed. Why not add to the total? Says Gordon McCrory.
Yeah, on the line, please. On the line, White, please. On the line.
What a day it has been for number 9 in red. Kicking the ball and scoring a try. Under 10 minutes to play here in Calgary. As the wind continues to blow, but it is mostly in the favor of the Canadian kicker here, Gordon McCrory. He may not have time to get to that record-setting mark of 36 points of James Pritchard, but an unbelievable day with the boot, a chance to go 7 of 8. And from makeable distance, it's through. 46-14. And what a day for Gordon McCrory.
Yeah, he's been terrific, and they will need his toe next week versus the Italians. But just what the Canadians wanted. They came to Calgary looking for a victory, and it's been comprehensive. They've punched 6 tries in to date. They really look confident. They have a bit of swagger in their step again, and it bodes well for a big week building up to the showdown with the Italians in Toronto on Sunday at BMO Field. They feel they really let the Italians off the hook in the Rugby World Cup in Leeds and really had them.
And the final substitution is made. Sears Duru comes off for Canada, and what a force again for him. All day long. Jamie McKenzie's into the game. Carpenter, great pass to Underwood. Olmsted mishandled it, but booted by Russia. So White will get it back though, as they'll scrum in the Canadian half.
Now let's see what's what in the Canadian scrum here, because McCrory's on the field, as is Jamie McKenzie, who's a halfback. Now it looks like McKenzie's going to go to flanker.
Here we go.
It is all over the map now for Canada. All hands on deck today.
This will be something Jamie McKenzie will be telling his pals about. You got a cap for Canada at flanker.
Sit! Hold red!
Sent in by Russia. And a great run right out of that scrum by Russia to gain some ground. Rudoy has been one of the better runners so far for Russia in this contest. Matt Neave gains some ground. Rudoy again collides with Wilson Ross. Matt Neave and Rudoy doing all the heavy lifting here for Russia. Kushnarov.
No call white.
Loose ball.
No call there. Back to advantage, offside red.
And the ball comes back to White. And look at the bodies strewn across the field. Everybody has
no call there. Offside.
Hands on knees.
Looks like the Coliseum.
It really does. And good strategy by Russia to try anything possible to gain some ground and push in for another score and have something for them to feel good about going into their next contest south of the border.
No quitting the Russians. They certainly have a lot of blemishes on their game, but they've played hard today. And as you said, Blake, they're still pushing here with 5 minutes to go.
The injured Russian is up. That is Evgeny Elgin.
Let's go.
Was able to get the try earlier in the second half. The lone try of the second half for Russia, 1 in each for them so far to form their 14 points. The line out coming here for Matveev.
Get back. No, fine.
Trying to form that driving maul. Ball's down now though, before the maul begins. Olmsted mixing it up. There's some pushing and shoving as the play continues in the middle of the field. Olmsted thrown out of that rock. He did not like it.
After bind. Advantage point.
And Russia pushing forward. They might be able to grind out another one here. Andreev taken down. And they are pushing ever so close. You see the ball loose. Grinding away. The defense of Canada standing tall here. Inside a meter for Russia. And they finally push it across. And is it Matveev with the ball. It is at the bottom of the pile, number 16 for Russia. Yevgeny Matby pushes it in for the try. Their third of the day, and a respectable point total is now on the board for Russia at 19 points, a chance to convert their third in a row to get to 21.
And he's certainly pushing for a spot against the Americans next week. He's played very well since he's come on.
A couple of strong runs for him in the middle of the field as well, in addition to the trench game down near the try line of Canada.
And one of the Canadians at the bottom of all that contact was Evan Olmsted, who obviously has played the whole game. He's played extremely well. He's got the hands on the knees, but he's played hard for 77 minutes.
So the margin is trimmed. And the kick will be a challenging one. This is the kind of kick that was challenging to McRory in the first half when Canada was kicking in this direction. But the wind, our vantage point, has died down. But the flags of the far side are still blowing. False start for the Canadian rush. And the ball curling and does get through. Nicely done indeed. Yuri Kushnarov splits the posts, and it is 3 converted tries for Russia.
Come around side at more, so you just be careful, okay? Yeah.
And fresh off that kick, Kushnarov comes off, and his day is done for Russia.
Ball was available. It's a different scenario. Thanks, mate. Hold on. It's over.
And we are inside a couple of minutes here in Calgary.
Mr. Kubo's had a good game. He's very conversant with the players. He's told them what he wants around the breakdowns, and no cards. I think he's had a very good game refereeing this match.
And Russia looking to pick up any momentum, perhaps, and again, prove their worth for next week as they continue their summer series in the United States. Into touch, though. Canada gets the ball back.
No quit. Right now to red.
And it is a cramping problem, clearly, because we see Canadians down on the pitch again.
I know.
And it's funny, it's not that kind of dreadfully hot day that you'd expect the cramping to be an issue, but it's clearly there for a lot of Canadian players.
Time off. Time off.
And the hydration comes out to try and prevent further attacks here in the final minute, but this will take care of the clock for the most part.
Time off now. Time off now. Time off. We'll take our time.
And you can hear the chants of the crowd here in Calgary. It's been quite a day. Calgary Rugby Park treated to an explosion of offense in that first half for Canada that really set the tone for the rest of the day and allowed Mark Anscombe to work through his lineup and really get a strong look at the roster going into what will be, you would assume here, Brian, a very competitive match versus Italy next Sunday in Toronto.
And I'm sure the Canadians are going to work hard this week and go into that game looking for a win. They don't want to compete with Italy. They want to beat them. They feel they should have beat them in Leeds at the Rugby World Cup. They'll be buoyed by this superb effort today. They'll be very confident. It's been a while since we've seen the swagger in their step, and I think they'll go to Toronto a confident lot against this Italian side next Sunday.
Ball start on the line out there for Canada. They'll go again. Howard throws it in. Not a clean grab. Line out goes awry for Canada.
Tackle!
Good tackle by Jamie McKenzie, playing flanker. He's a halfback, and he's making his tackles. Hopefully he doesn't take a knock.
You lost.
We are at full time here in Calgary. Russia with their final
fine.
plays of the game here.
No ball.
Lemitsev loses the ball, but Russia gains it back. Get it back.
Time is up. Thanks, mate. Time is up.
No, they won't. That's starts the match. Shuhei Kubo calls the game, and Canada now 1-1 in this Rises 1 Summer Series. Taking care of business, to say the least, versus Russia here. A 26-point effort for Gordon McCrory on the day. Falls 10 shy of the Canadian record, but what a day indeed for McCrory, as Canada evens up the record here this June, and we'll head into Toronto on a winning note, 46-21.
Look at this. Jeez.
Honestly. And the man of the match. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, your man of the match is the hometown boy, number 9, we have one more presentation to get through. Sign up soon. Those over here, you guys over there.
Some walking wounded at the end of the game here for Team Canada, but a 46-21 win over Russia in Calgary will help ale some of their woes, you'd think. And in large part, they can thank the efforts of one Gordon McCrory, one-time member of the Prairie Wolfpack, that calls this field home. He was tremendous on this day, Brian.
He did it all, not just the running and the 2 tries. He would start Canada off early. He'd have 2 penalties, 5 conversions, 26 points, 7 for 8 kicking. We said off the top the kicking had to be better. It certainly was, and they'll need this again next week against the tough Italians.
A little bit of the Gordon McCrory of this week, last week, and maybe Canada is 2-0. But he is the Guinness Made of More man of the match. And to the victor goes the spoils here in Calgary. So Canada over Russia there looks pretty good. Canada versus Russia here needs to look just as good.
Yeah, that's going to be a very tough quarterfinal, and if successful, they'll draw the Irish side, who upset Samoa today, and Canada must go through in Monaco. It would be the greatest thing to happen to Canadian rugby if the men can join the women in Rio.
That Sevens qualifying tournament begins at 4:10 Eastern. Our coverage begins, and of course our coverage continues of this 15 Summer Series, Canada versus Italy, next Sunday, noon Eastern time. And that should be a stiff matchup, to say the least, for Canada, especially if you consider there were some injuries that we saw at the end of this match.
And get out and get your tickets for that game at BMO Field, the new BMO Field. It's going to be a cracker.
It was indeed in the first half here. Canada came out running, put points on the board early, and unlike in some days of past months and years, they did not give up the lead. They take it home and continue the scoring. We'll talk to you next week from BMO Field in Toronto.
was that?
Alright, you got to take it over, we're done.
Today's match on the Rise as One Summer Series is proudly presented by DHL. Rugby Canada would like to thank DHL for their continued support. DHL, official logistics partner of Rugby Canada. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to thank you, the fans, for coming out today to this Rise as One Summer Series match versus Russia, presented by DHL and supporting your national senior men's 15 program. Stick around and meet your national team on field, and don't forget to come out tonight to Knoxville's Tavern. Get home safe and enjoy the rest of your welcome. You guys have been fantastic. Have a safe drive home.